So, and this put your hands together, our moderator, John Chirono. Please, when you're ready, we really want to say thank you for taking the privilege to go through this. So, they are all yours. Ask the hard questions, ask the most difficult questions, and please answer them.
We'll pass it on.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be with this great family today. Yeah, I'll try not to be on Goya. Yeah, I'll be. Well, breathe in. All right. Nothing difficult, nothing. So we just want us to talk it out. Like, let us say what it is. How do we handle things? What has made you to be who you are now? Like, we see you dancing, and we are like, okay, you know, yeah. How do you do it? How do you find it new every day? So I'm gonna go through a series of questions, and they are not closed questions, so I will not ask you yes or no. I'll just be like, it's open. You are free to say anything. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. We will just take everything. So the first question that I'm gonna ask you is about marriage expectations. So, and I will ask you this way. What were, I will start with, they always say the ladies first. What were your expectations before marriage? What were your expectations? Just tell us, very raw.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
My name is Penina, a queen to my husband. Yeah, when I was young in high school, the teachers used to tell us, learn to say no to someone who comes and tell you, I love you. And then when we go to university, I realized now it will be nearly time for me to get married. And I remember I had a notebook, and in a conference camp, we used to go to camp, and they were teaching us in future that you will be mothers in future. So they told us, please write a book, write 1 to 10, a husband, or someone who you want to be your husband. And I remember the first one was a God-fearing husband.
Yes.
In 1 to 10, another one was, I didn't want someone who is very, very rich in my life. I wanted someone that we will go and start from scratch together. And that was in my point. In my expectation of marriage, I was praying for someone who will be faithful, because in our villages, we used to see other families fighting, literally, like chasing a husband, chasing a wife, even in the center. Like it was showing something scary too when you get married. So I was expecting someone who will love my family and someone who will love other families.
All right.
Yeah, etc.
So, and then I'll ask another question.
Yes.
Did your expectation come to be what you are really aspiring, or you are desiring to see?
It came like the expectation overflowed.
Oh.
I was expecting 10 good, but it went overboard.
That's amazing. So
Amen.
most of us will be like, you never wanted a tall and some.
I didn't go for tall or short. I was just saying handsome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's an lighter.
Yeah.
All right. Back to you, our bishop. How about you?
I think for me as a young man, I love watching movies. And most of the imagery that I had about marriage was completely different. That you get to meet with people and get married to typically a queen descending from heaven. That was painted in the movies, right?
Yeah.
And it formed part of what was expecting. But in saying that, there could be issues that informs, but however, when we went through journals of as young people been taking some courses about courtship and marriage, one of the key things that I was anticipating is getting someone that would always be there, and in a time that I think was difficult too, but my greatest expectation in marriage was getting someone that will always be there for you.
Yeah.
And for sure, I would say, as my own testimony, and most of you would tell, I really, really got one. Because there are times that I've been hard, there are times that have been too harsh for me, and having my wife just there is a complete answer that God gave me, someone that would really stick with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, here comes another question. I heard it somewhere that under the sun, there is no perfect marriage.
It's true.
Yeah. And then the question will come, we face different conflicts every day. So how do you sit down and resolve your conflicts? Because I know they are there.
Yeah.
So how do you resolve your conflicts?
Conflicts are there, and conflicts makes families stronger. So the way we resolve our conflict, we try not to pile up. When a conflict arises, one of us will calm down, either me or my husband, but I always try to be the first one to calm down. So one of us has to calm down and try to solve the conflict. And a place to solve the conflict is not the bedroom. It is good to solve the conflict even in an open space, like you can go for a walk and try to talk about it. Talk that like, if it is me that I've done wrong, I will come straight away and say, my husband, I'm really sorry, I've done wrong today. And we can go out, maybe to the park, or we can, when the children go to sleep, we will stay in the sitting room and try to solve the conflict instead of going to bedroom and solve it. Because bedroom is a place whereby everything has to be a little bit nicer.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. All right. So the thing is, you are telling us that one person comes down.
Yes.
And that is how we can solve.
I would add not only one person, taking that opportunity to come down, but I believe what has helped us, and since when we were courting, was don't wait until tomorrow.
Yeah.
We try as much as possible to ensure that we finish. Even when we were in high school, in college, there are several times we had conflict. We schooled together in Kabara, and that
high school.
No, not high school. Sorry, in Kabara, and there are times that we had conflicts that were almost tearing us apart. But one thing that we put together and we believed was it's good to resolve issues before the sun goes down, and that has become one of the key things that I believe has been able to help us.
Yeah.
Because we are two different personalities, and that has been very key for us to be able to solve
Thank
issues.
And we realized the danger of boiling the conflict after conflict. We were told, like, when a boil is coming, a boil, that boil will grow. The time it will burst, it will be boom. So it is better to deal with that small thing,
Exactly.
Yeah,
before
thank
it
you.
grows. Yeah.
Thank you. So then comes the big animal in most of the marriages, families, finances.
Yeah.
Yes. How do you deal with these finances so that you can amicably get a solution?
Can we start with the financial?
Let me just go back to and guys, having been approached as giving a testimony of ourselves, quite at times you get to a point that people will be expecting this. One thing that I want to point out as we even discuss about ourselves is we are not true angels.
Yeah.
We are not. We are not. Irrespective of being the senior pastor of NEMA, having the name Bishop's family and all those, we humans. And a few things are things that have been able to key us through our journey. And in terms of finances, I think one thing that I personally appreciate is the abilities of how we started our relationship. Maybe that would have been a point that I would say that I believe has helped us in solving not only our financial issues, matters, but general issues that we have, our families that we have. We started as friends. And I remember when we were friends, surprisingly, Penina, when we were at Kapsababa College, there are times that she will take me for lunch. She'll buy lunch, pay it. And there are times I'll do it. And from that point of view, it changed our perception of Miangu, Miake. Because when she has it, I won't hesitate to do. When I don't have it, she will chip in. And that became very key issue that had helped us in our journey, even when you talk about finances, because especially coming into such a land, we are pastors in Kenya. And let's tell you for sure, the amount of money that we were paid was the least. You wouldn't even quarrel about it because sometimes you don't get it.
Yes.
But coming here, there was a big change because she goes for a shift, I'll go for a shift. And when we all come in, there are weeks that she will do more than myself. But one thing that we did ourselves is we agreed that our money goes one basket. We open one joint account, put our money in there, and we all agreed that both agreed that this is how we're gonna do it. So we prioritize our spending based on our important needs, and that has been very important for us. We have issues that we believe we have got family, extended family that will say send me. But one thing is we prioritize beginning with ourselves. When Penina needs something, we check first, personal thing. We check whether we have something that is important, very, very important and urgent for us to get into it. And so that's where we begin. And then that's how we get to channel our money, rather than just saying our own.
So, I know sometimes you may reach a point whereby you will be like, huh? The other time you are using this amount, today you need this amount. I know that. So when such a thing arises, how do you deal with, like, you see someone is spending more than you are doing? You get it? Because we are dealing with diversity.
Very true.
My needs are different, your needs are different. And now we are pulling these resources together. But I am like, either you or him, but how do you solve such a thing? How do you, or if you've not experienced it, let us imagine that once you get it, how do you think you're gonna solve such an issue?
I'm the second born in my family.
Yeah.
My biggest issue that I've had is I love shoes. I'll buy sneakers, I'll buy something. On the other hand, my wife also will go shops and she won't come empty-handed. She will see the kids and buy something for the kids. But however, in us doing all these issues, is there are times that we felt in the past at some point in our lives that we did spend more than what we should have.
Yeah.
And at that point, there was a point that we ourselves looked in and said, let's begin with ourselves, because quite often, I think when you get to understand who she is, because we come from two different families, and she comes from a point that she has her own, family, her bringing on how money should be. I come from mine. But what has helped me, and let me use our real name, Penina, has been our ability to look at each other and say, what do we want for tomorrow? And that has been very key on how we get to spend our money. She would buy whatever she buys, I'll buy whatever I'll buy. But at the end of the day, what we've always asked ourselves is, let's, as much as possible, carry ourselves in a point that we try to walk in each other's shoe. Because if Penina would walk on our own shoe, I don't think we will be able to be where we are as a family. If I will walk on my own way, because I told you my weakness, I will see sneakers. I'm like, oh yeah, buy it. I see a T-shirt, yeah, buy some shorts, And if I would go in that point because it's only me, what happens? I'm burdening her more, and we won't be able to go together.
Thank you
And
so
then
much.
to the finance again, we try to categorize, like we have that every account is a joint account, but there is this account that it's for bills like rentals, food, these common things that we are like, even for the fundraiser we put it, and then there is an account for just savings. If you want to do any other investment, there is that an account, and then there is that account again, maybe just there for any emergency.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Penina is very good in savings than
Yeah,
me.
I can see.
I'll be very sure. Just say this: she's more good in. Okay, we get 10, push 8, push 8 there.
She's an economist.
Yeah, push 8 there. And that has been able to help us into getting where we are.
Thank you so much for appreciating that. Thank you so much. So I'll come back to the question of communication. So I would want us to think about this situation whereby you're thinking about your own stuff, she's thinking about her own stuff. No one wants to talk, and you are trying to you are the one who has come down. You're trying to engage her. How will you maintain the active listening? Active listening. Make sure that she's actually engaging and not like, someone said that if a lady says, oh, it's okay, that's not okay.
Yeah. I think one thing that we have as men is our male ego. Because in male ego, and I'm not regretting as having it, but it's a strength by itself.
Yeah.
Because you get to see how a lion is able to conquer. Without it, the lions will be like what Paka, because they will be very docile, wouldn't do anything. The ego helps us as men to be able to be where we are. And that has been one of the issues that I believe in male ego. Sometimes it's good to compromise. There are times that we need to compromise. Me coming from the Kalenjin community, at times we don't believe that a man should come down. And that is a fact. Mostly would tell. The ladies are the ones who listen rather than the other way around. Isn't that true? I'm not lying. But one thing that I believe are very key in any communication in a relationship is perceive yourself the same way the other person is at that given time. That would be very key in building a relationship, and especially communication that would be a two-way, not only one way. Because if I will hold my male ego, I'll be telling her, you did this last week, you did this, this is who you are. And I don't get to get a response of who I am according to her side. But if I will down my male ego and be able to listen, it helps both of us. And even for me, for my growth, me being a minister, I don't believe I am the best by myself. The way I am today has been a source of what she's done to me. There are times that she will criticize what I do, and one time it hurts. I'll tell you for sure, it hurts when somebody tells you you shouldn't have said that, and it pins you sometimes from a male ego.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you say, by the who is she? Because I think one of the things that we miss in a relationship, in communication aspect, who is that spouse to you? She's not a contracted person. She's a person that spends time with you. She knows you better than anybody else. She knows how I snore at night, how I kick the blanket, how I do all the messy things. So she knows me, right? So if she will tell me today this, I shouldn't feel offended because she would. I once heard a proverb that says, if there is someone that can take a life of a man, would be the woman. Because you snore and then you're all gone, and she has the power to do whatever. So in our communication, what has helped us, as you asked, it is me myself, and I think that has been helpful too. Is she might attest it to it, whether I that's what I do. I've always seen, having grown up with a bit of bitter things in my life. I've always taken the lead in trying to walk away when things are on fire. There are times that I believe it's fuming up, and I excuse myself. I walk away, and it has helped her so much. And there are times that she sees me getting that moment, and she goes in and just have our own moment. And when we come together, it's a reflective moment. Walking away is not a sign of weakness.
No.
It's a sign of strength, because you get to, internalize about yourselves and be able to appreciate the other person.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. So you've led me to another question. Yeah, we've moved all the way from Kenya. We've come to Australia. The roles in Kenya are different. Like, my role is different in Kenya.
Yeah.
Like, I'm there, you are sitting there, unasoma gazeti, niko naosha vyombo, napika, alafu nakuja na tray nakuletea chakula. You come here, you do me, I do you. So, how did you find that? And how are you able to adjust to you now again?
Yeah.
How did you adjust to that situation
Culture.
whereby unafika kutoka kazi, koti, chini, you sort out the dishes, you sort out the kids, you know? Yes.
Is he doing them even in the first place?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to tell that. I wanted to,
You know,
before.
their house is so open.
Yeah,
Just go there every now and then we see them. So,
It's kind of a bit interesting thing, as you're asking. One thing that, but I think Perina can tell before even I say, because I might kaanga too much of myself. But allow me to just give her. She can say how she's seen me and in our journey in our family in terms of doing home chores and helping one another, because I think she can have a picture before I even give her a response over myself. Please.
Oh, yeah. You wow, God gave me a godsend angel. So even in Chebaiwo, that village, I was straight, like sometime after when we go to evangelism and come back, my husband could tell me, relax, my wife, I'm going to cook for you. So it started all the way from Chebaiwo, Perotet, Sydney, Australia. So when we came here, it was not a shock, a culture shock. Yeah, I'm sure even when we could have gotten children in Kenya, he could have already jumped to help. So I remember my dad came to visit us in Chebaiwo, and my dad was eating ugali and saying, mtoto yangu umepika chakula tamu, and for sure, unajua uwezi ukasema nyumbani. Good watasema umefanya makosa. So the first Cornelius do something. So my husband was the one who cooked that ugali that my dad came to eat in Chibaiwa. So help with basic needs in everywhere. He helped me straight away.
Oh.
So for our story, when we came here, everything was mwah.
Just fell into place.
Yes, the children came and we were all ready set. Even to even the vijana came the other day. They were eating pilau and they were saying, who cooked this pilau?
Okay.
And it was my husband.
Oh.
So he's really ready to help. And I'd never tell him, come and help. I'm still following the submission in the Bible that submit to your husband. I still submit to my husband, but he is the one who comes by himself. These as ladies, let us not reach that place that kuja pika chakula. No, come and do this. No, we should still go down and submit to our husbands the way the Bible does. So it is them alone. Wakiguzwa, let them come and help. Wasipokuzwa, omba kwa kona fulani.
Just back to your question, because you're direct. I just wanted to say something before I would say just a short thing, and then we'll move on. I believe, right from the book of Genesis, man is meant to take the responsibility of cooking, raising children, doing most of the things, washing clothes. If you read the Bible very clearly, because at that point in God says, and the Bible says, and God made an helper for Adam. And quite often we change it. Our privilege to have grown in a family that we were sent to do home chores right when we were around 8, 9 years old at home. And it changed me. It helped me to be able to be the man who I am today. But in saying that, John and everybody else, I know there are times that it's hard to make some things at home. And I do not blame people, because quite often we all grew up in different families, different setups, where some of the men were sent away even by their own moms when they wanted to give a hand with things. And I understand sometimes, but I call upon men particularly that as we live in this country, family support is a collective responsibility. Raising kids, for me, I think if there is one of my greatest weakness is seeing my family struggle. That has been one of the painful things that I cannot stand myself. Seeing my kids and seeing my wife just having a bit of a struggle always pins me down, because I believe it's my responsibility to be able to help and take the responsibility.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so I will go to another different point of view. So I've seen, you said you met when you were in university.
Yeah.
And basically you all aspire to be better people, like expand or continue your educational trajectory to another level. So how have you been able to support Pastor Zach's journey? Because he's been studying. And Pastor Zach, I would want you to also to answer, if at all Penina will want to advance her education, how are you going to support? And are there any challenges in doing that?
Yes.
A short.
Yeah, there's challenges. I will, family is a teamwork. So when my husband was studying, I think he does extra course, because I don't know, because when he was studying, imagine again, he is providing for the family. Because I remember when I had Ayana and he was a student, so he used to go to work for maybe double shift, come home, provide for everything for the last for 9 months. I never went to work for 9 months. And he's the one who told me, don't go. Because I need you and your daughter to have good time raising Ayana
So
up.
did you see that as a challenge, or
It
did
was-
it affect your family?
I felt for him because I wanted to help him, but I think the challenge was he overworked at that time. I wanted to help him, but he wanted me to relax and maybe take care of the children. But he made it, and he is a very good encourager. My husband, he encourages us so much in our family. He tells us God always is our provider.
All right. So back to Zach. You know, when the tension is so high in your brain, like you work so much, alafu you come back to the house, everything is looking at you like this.
Oh, yeah.
You got assignments, you got bills, you got everything. At times you may, like, your brain may not be working. So how are you able to manage the challenges, those tiny challenges that you see and you're like, oh my God, this again? Yeah.
I think I'm blessed with a woman that loves organized, hygienic house. And that is my biggest weakness. If the house wouldn't be neat, then I will tell you I'll have a big problem. I've had problem with my own siblings whenever I'll pay them a visit and it wasn't clean because I have a different impact on it. So having her, as you said, for the times that she spent on, and as an example, I believed, and what has it always informed is more or less what I said, just as a connecting to the question was the perception about my role and her role in the family. If you look very closely, success is not determined by a single person, as you just echoed. It's a collective responsibility. It's two people putting in together, and not equal amount of effort, but the best of what she can provide and the best of what he can give. Because I think the killer in everything is, I gave 20, you must give 20. But the ability of that person might not be able to give 20. They might be able to give 10. But the ability of the other one, or the vice versa, might be able to give a 40. Just because you gave a 20, you shouldn't expect that I'll give a 20. I might give more. And it's a seasonal thing because that is how life is. So I believe for myself that one of the key things that is very important and has helped even us is I do not see her if she fails to do an example, move that table, the dishes. There will be a tendency inwardly if I had the perception that, I did it in the morning, you didn't do it now, but I'm forgetting what she's done earlier. If for sure I'll find that she lazy, she never fed kids, never took them anything, and she's been that's a different story. But I think for the concept that we have, not only generally in our society, is often we tend to blame ladies as having spent more time at home doing nothing. Yet there's a lot of things they've done. Having kids is not easy, and that was one of the reasons that informed my choice and decision in making her stay longer with kids at home when they were born, because I believed she plays an integral role and she's got a lot. And one thing that I did myself was organize myself, and I think that will be one of the key things that helps in not seeing she didn't do this but I should have done. So one thing that we worked mathematically for us is, tomorrow I'm going to work and we got this and we got this. If I have time now, do a pre-planning of events for tomorrow. As you wake up in the morning, you find things will be smoother. I think the biggest problem that we have is we wait until the last minute. For example, guests are coming and then you're pressured because you didn't plan. So planning is very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So how many years have you been married?
We are married for we will be 12 years.
Okay, 12 years. So, hope you wonder, man, like, what is the greatest challenge that you've ever faced as a family? In your mlikuwa mnaona mnasema this is a huge mountain in our marriage. And then quickly tell us how you overcame that challenge. What is that
There are
challenge that
many.
you
There are
think?
many.
No, there are many, but there is that one
Yeah,
that you think that
the reason
it
it-
will help us.
Yeah, the reason
Yeah,
as
just
well,
choose that one.
and I will agree with Penina, there are many, but collectively was we got married. First of all, I knew Penina when I was in Bible college, and I was in second year of my studies, and she just joined. And from the first day, you know, you look at someone and say, "Wow, she looks different," right? And I was eyeing, I was like, "Ah," and then yeah, and then people had a different perception about me, and I'll be very honest, she will tell me about who I was and how I ran my life. And she typically had a little bit about it. That she thought I had somebody, maybe, but for me, I was, open to anybody, right? We will talk about conversation. And when we joined in, I looked at her, and I think she was the closest person that I would have a conversation with. It took us 3 good years before I even made my proposal. 3 good years. And I made a proposal when she was doing the banquet. The Bible College, we graduate. So now banquet, that's when I made a proposal. I graduated, went home, and then came back. And that is when I made a proposal to her. On a night to the to the banquet. Yeah, I said, hey, Chris, I can't wait anymore. And I remember, funny enough, I was the photographer of our graduation.
What a blessing.
And I was privileged on that very day, graduation day, to be able to go and see my future in-laws. I went to her home, had a chat. She's got a lovely
As a photo.
yeah, put a camera. And I remember that very day. When we got home, we spent the night because it was late. The event was there, and end up having a night spent there. Slept the following day. She didn't introduce that who is this first anyway, because I think they would. But the sister, our older sister, met, and in the morning, she said, Zach, can we go for a walk? So they got a plantation of tea. And our older sister asked me lots of questions about this, about that. And one thing that I saw, at that given moment, I said, hey, and then Siko Kosa. But you tell yourself, I think I nailed it, because when you see a family, and that is who I would perceive, when you see siblings that would seek to identify and ask you, she didn't ask me, Sasa wewe unataka nini? No, she asked me, what are your plans? What do you aspire? How do you, as I even was living on that particular day, I was like, so ile maneno yangu ya juicy haiko makosa. Nilisema vizuri. And somebody has seen it. And we were finished, went to college, and surprisingly, the same very year, we went to a university together. And at that time is when we had, college issues. We graduated, we finished. My mom passed away a bit months before, but she was able to see my mom and be able to consult with my mom before she passed away. And at that moment, things looked a bit harder for us because my mom wasn't in the picture. Things were very hard, but luckily was having somebody that would see things differently. And she blamed me for a long time. You should have let me know, mom, even when we were friends. But I appreciate that. I was able to have an individual that sees me part of our problem and part of our solutions, and that has been able to help us through. We finished, we got married, and one of the things, it took us time because unfortunately, Penina was unwell, and none of us knew. And it took us a couple of them because we never had kids. It took us to have kids a bit of time, and it became a bit of a talk. And one of the talk that we honestly with you was people said, maybe this one messed up when they were in uni. They messed up, maybe who knows, maybe walitoa, maybe walifanya the consequences, and people say a lot of things. But I'm privileged that I got married to a woman that never ever had share bed to anybody before. And for me, I knew in my heart that whatever it takes, I used to tell her, don't worry, if God gives us kids, God will give. And He chooses not to, there are avenues that God would supplement our needs. And that became one of the greatest problems that we have even in our journey as newly married couples. Aunties will say, mbona wampate watoto, mbona, people even at church, me being the pastor, the same conversation. And I remember when we were coming over to Australia, no one seems to have believed that God is able to make a change in our lives. But God took us in a journey that brought people that made a difference in our lives. And I think that was the greatest solution of our problem, because having the talk and being talked and people saying this about you, well, sometimes you preach in and you kind of wonder whether the same people are receiving, that is part of those citizens, are they receiving the message or criticizing you based on the message? And we came in as the biggest problem that we have was what has been said of us. They will never go anywhere. They will never have this. They will never have this. But I think what helped us was our ability to be able to sit together. Because kama tungekaa pamoja, I don't think we'll be where we are, to be honest. There are things that would have torn us apart. But ability for us to sit together. We went to Sydney and we went to church, and sitting in one of the services that we had, one of the kids that we had there, you would see one of the kids coming soon, possibly end of this month, and that child sat very close to us for a consecutive number of weeks, until the parents said, we're very sorry, our kid seems to like you, but we haven't had a conversation with you. And that very conversation was the solution, a God-answered prayer that we never had, to having Penina go through medical treatment and operation that led us to have kids. And our stories became a God open door. And one of the prophecies that someone made, one of the grandma to one of audience here, Sharon she said, when you come back, you're not coming back as only two of you. You'll come back as four. And I think God just answered that prayer, because our solutions were not lying on people, but it was lying on God himself. So what I would say is our problem was mainly, that I would say, to be honest, it was people's statements and making stories about who we are and what is happening in our lives, and they're making a map of our journey as a family and the success. But we realized ourselves that our journey is not within us, it's within God himself.
Amen. So something that I've noted about what they're saying is their problem was big, and the thing that they are talking about was they never blamed one another. Because if at all Zach had blamed Penina, I'm very sure you would.
That's why I said we wouldn't be who we are today. We are weak, and one of the things that I'll be very honest is we all want kids. No one doesn't, aspire not to have. But especially when we live in a society where we come from, where a problem is often blamed on women of not having kids. Bona huyu, and at the end of the day, boys are given options to do something else. But I believe, when people get to work together, it becomes the key to unlocking every given challenge that comes on your way.
Thank you so much.
And that challenge has really given us a very, very strong, whereby if other challenges come, like now we have a challenge of visa. We had, my husband when he was sick. When we see those challenges now, we see them as nothing. Because if God has given you people like life, the children are living, Una breathe in, out. When God has given you children, what about papers? What about healing? Those are just very tiny. So that huge challenge, when this other comes, they become so tiny.
Thank you so much. So there's something, I know the time is really moving so quickly. There's something I don't want us to leave behind, because this is something that it is a challenge that most of us, if not all of us, are facing. We got the extended family. And they come with their own challenges. Their pressure. You this, you that. So how do you handle those?
When I got married, I said, I just said myself, even without telling my husband, I say, wherever I'm going, I want to just be, to go and be a blessing to that family.
We all say that.
Yes. Reaching there, you can get in-laws, or yes, maybe in-laws, or so if these in-laws bring maybe, mi naona ukienda tu na baraka, it is hard for them to start fighting because you just love them. Okay. So when I went, in fact, I was blaming my husband. Mbona huku ni tune siku ile long time ndio niweze kuangalia my mother-in-law, kwa sababu si ku spend time na yeye, because nilikuwa nasema the way I spoil my mom, I'm going to spoil my mother-in-law so much, and my in-laws. So vile nilienda sasa from my husband's place, the people who started maybe fighting us is not from the family. It's not my my immediate sisters-in-laws and my brothers-in-laws, but maybe the aunties. In fact, I have one auntie who said, when my husband was saying, akasema, ni kama wale watu walienda kucheza huko Kabarak na Mungu amewapunish. That's why hawajapata. So ilitoka kwa aunties. But what can you do? Ni unawapenda tu. So but kwa so you try wherever when I went there, I tried to be positive, even when someone is becoming to be negative against our family. I try to be positive. Yeah.
So
but there are many pressures.
So you just wakidunga unajaribu tu kwenda.
I can't face my aunt. Like it is hard for me to face my auntie now. Even until date, we've never told them, auntie, mbona ulitulaani siku ile? Hatujawahi mweleza.
I think if just adding on what she says, extended family is a thorn and a blessing at times.
Yeah.
And I agree with most of us. And families are different. There are families that you really pray God and say thank you that you molded people that looks at others with ability to see and see the goodness in them. While there are families that I know they have issues. One thing that helped us in having seen issues is Penina's family responsibility often comes to my side. And my family also often goes to Penina. So she's the one that takes the lead and saying this. And a demonstration that I'll be honest, she made a surprise recently out of our spendings that she surprised my dad with a car, which I didn't know. You know,
Wow.
and that's what I'm saying. Often it's not. Yeah, I'm saying often it's not. I think it's not the ability to see that every family is hard, but the ability to have tolerance in ourselves. Because believe me, there is always a mad person in every given family, as they say in every market. And there are angels at times. But success for any individuals, I've never seen it myself as a conflict from her side. But in terms of ourselves, seeing the challenges that we had that emanated from the extended family, not from the immediate family, was our ability to see and ask ourselves, what role do they play in our lives? I once had one preacher that says, sometimes it's good to walk away from conversations. You cannot walk away from people. Perry, one of the speakers says, there's always cancer in families. Somebody that spits the worst that you can ever feel. He says, we might not change them. We might not change them from not being our families, but I believe we can make a choice of how the impact of the wording and the action can do to us. And I believe that would be the best thing that I would offer to anybody else that might be having a challenge. We might not have gone through it ourselves, severely based on other people. But I think for us, what helped us was, as my wife says, was we didn't see and wanted to fight with them. They said a lot. I remember even surprisingly, no one ever believed we were going to come to Australia. That we came to Australia. In fact, the families that came, they went to the agent and asked, "Are you very sure?
They're in Nairobi.
Where did they get the money?" And imagine those people are the extended family
Yeah.
that would say those, I know they never got anything. One will lose and they had those words. But for us, we look back and we said, are they able to influence us really by the actions? They won't. By the wording, no. We have a choice. There's one of the Kalenjin songs saying that says, you cannot avoid a bird building a nest in a tree, but what you can avoid is the impact that it causes in you. And I think we have a choice. We have a choice that we can avoid what we call those tiny things biting us.
I will interrupt
Yeah.
you. I'm now asking you, not as a but as a spiritual leader. I got these family issues. Every now and then they are coming to me, and I feel they are affecting my mental health. Okay, so will I be wrong if at all I say no? Enough is enough. I'm blocking it. Like my peace is paramount. Like no, I block them. Would I have done a wrong thing?
I think it's good to have a boundary. Even like me, like my family, like we have our my lemenyi there and my
Not your
sister.
Lebanese.
Oh. My sister and my Bamuru.
Yes.
Yes. This is that family and that is Rudolph's family. So we need, like, there is boundary, there is respect within every family. So if there is a boundary, if we are doing something wrong to them, it is good. It is good for them to just face us and say this is wrong. Yeah.
It is a complicating thing at times, but
Yeah.
coming from my own point of view, that I believe, as you pin me from a spiritual perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I believe if there is one thing that, and I'm very sorry that for a long time, I think there was a concept within the Christendom that family issues, you got to swallow it and live with it. You can't do anything. But if you look from a psychological point of view of a well-being of a person, the rise of mental issues that we have, I believe it's time for people to realize that you come first. Through the Bible, Proverbs, an example. Proverbs says, "A friend sticks better than a brother," and it has a reason as to why. Because there are brothers that bites, family bites, and sometimes you run away. And you have people in the Bible that never even believed and had very close ties with their families, like Jonathan, as an example. He confided so much in David, and that helped him to be the man that he is. In saying that, I believe myself that from a spiritual point of view, you should always remember this. And I'd said earlier, sometimes the times that you go to walk away. And one of the things that I believe are killer of relationships and marriages are always extended families.
Yeah.
Because they say lots of words, they say things that kills and makes people wish they would never marry that person or never be married to that family. But I want to encourage us that it is the two collective responsibilities of both of you. It's me and Penina that will make a choice on how we're going to perceive our families and how they should have that boundaries, as she says. Because it's good to raise Trump wall, the Trump wall, Mexico wall, because sometimes it is for the good of you and your kids and your husband and the vice versa. Because it's not a problem sometimes to think of yourself. I think it's high time that I encourage people and call upon each one of us to have a me time. You come first than anybody else. And that's why we told you one of the issues that we integrated in our relationship was when Penina is filmed, it might bust me if I will respond, or I might do harm. And so the best thing is, it's good to walk away. And if we can do that for the two of us, I think we can do that for the extended family
Yes.
and avoid the impact in our relationship and our marriage. Yeah.
And
Thank
again,
you
it
so
is good to start from Jerusalem. It is you can't love your cousins or without starting with Ben, your husband. So you have to love your family, your Berian, all your children
Your
first.
generation.
Yeah, your generation, your Lucita alisema your palace. You start with your palace. You start with Jerusalem first, and then extension later.
Thank you so much. Do I still have some time? 5 minutes. Okay. A question. There's a couple here, not a couple, sorry. There are people here who want to marry.
Get married.
Yeah, they want to get married. So what would you advise them?
Marriage is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I
What
would
do
say
you
the
think?
same.
What do you think?
uh,
Just tell them that thing, like
do not have an ideology from soaps or movies about marriage.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
One,
It's not a movie.
it's not a movie thing.
Yeah.
It is as if they said a thorn in, thorns of roses. It's a rose. But that is not. They say marriage is not a bed of roses. But I would say is it is, but with thorns. If I would
Yes.
say it is with thorns.
Yeah.
It's roses, but it comes with thorns, and that's what we'd say. So whoever aspires to get married, do not get scared first, and do not have the ideology that you're gonna marry Mr. or Mrs. Right. You'll marry a person that will have defects, problems, different opinions of judgment, and because we put on dress up when we are single, and when we meet, you won't tell her how I am outside, right? Because you've never seen me. You will see me talking and dressing well, but once we get inside the house, you'll be like, this guy lives so stinky, but you never saw it when we were. So one thing I'm saying is, remember that you get someone that might not have the best, but it is your responsibilities to bring the best out of each other. And I think that is very key in a relationship. Yeah. And that would be my last words to give to someone that aspires to get married. Yeah.
And we missed to cut the cake. One to our one.
Yeah. So there's something that Pastor Zach touched, and I felt that I want to bring it out. He talked about, like, when we are young, there are adversities, and I'll say all of us are going through different traumas. And this is something that I read from a certain book. Like, as we try to fix things in our marriage, let us try to understand where each one of us comes from. There are traumas that basically I faced when I was young, and when I see them, I get panic attacks. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's starting. So if you understand me right from my
you walk the journey.
If you just try and understand me, where did this John grow? What were the adversities that she faced? What were the challenges? Did she have traumas? How am I going to help John to overcome these traumas?
Exactly.
And not be like, isiongeze tena, trauma iendelee tena. You get it? So if we try to understand where each and every one of us is coming from, I think it inazima kidogo.
Exactly.
Inazima kidogo.
It does.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything that I've missed that you wanted me to ask them.
Allow me to just. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Pastor. So really, it's inspiring the stories. So maybe just a question that I wanted to ask. What is the most annoying thing, probably, that you learned about her and she's learned about you? That you feel like, oh, it's a thing, but it's okay. Something that you noticed about each other. It's okay.
He loves watching movies and I don't like it. So when he puts the movie, after 2 minutes,
She's snoring.
I get bored. Yeah. And what do you
I think there are things that sometimes we look from a negative point of view, but often they are very positive. And what our moderator just said is, it's good to understand the other person, because if you don't understand, you'll pick every given thing from the wrong perspective.
Yeah.
You'll bear me witness. Penina is an outgoing person. She talks.
I am tired.
She can. If it's like if she stops, something bad will happen. You know, have you ever met that person? Like, is she all right? Is she okay? Is she inside? And I think for me, being able to have sometimes, you would feel this, at the beginning you think, it's like somebody sana, but but when you look at it, the ingredients it brings in both of you is amazing. Because you get to see someone that steps in somewhere and takes a lead. For somebody else to take it from a different perspective, I think I more or less had that perspective at the beginning, but I get to understand her more and was able to appreciate the fact that she's able to move and make an impact more even than myself. And I'll be honest, she does. And one thing that I'll always tell her is take her ability and be able to flourish where God wants you to be, not where Isaac wants her to be. Because she's not my responsibility when it comes to her future. It's God's ordained. It's me to support, not me just tell her this is how you should structure things. And I think that is one of the biggest things that happens in every relationship. For her, she knows me, and I've tried, sometimes into getting into, but luckily, her getting to see and accept that hata nifanye nini saa hii, saa zingine mimi na wasichana tumeenda kwa TV anasema hata leo ndio join kidogo, amelala, wasichana anza kucheka. But you know what, we appreciate of what she brings at different level of our lives. That's how we've been able to get together.
So you let Penina be Penina.
Yeah, there are times that I let her, and I encourage her. She will tell you. I believe. I think one thing that I want to mention, and I'll finish up, is I want to encourage you as a couple. We are not slaves to one another. We are friends at the beginning, and as friends, you want the best for each other. It's good to have your own time. It's good to have the two of you having your own time, but very important to have the me time, because the me time is very reflective. I look at from the Holy Testament, every single individual, they develop their own time. And it's a busy society, it's a busy world, it's a busy responsibility. It's important sometimes I can take time to be with the kids and she can have time. And don't feel very shy. Ladies that are here today, if I'll encourage you, and same to men, I know we haven't done it. Let's have boys' time collectively from this group. We can have time that boys only, we go somewhere and nourish ourselves. We can have ladies going away by yourselves. And it shouldn't be literally having time to say we are gonna pray. No. It's time to have fun, play something. For boys, play pool, play that. You know what it happens? You nourish one another. And also when you have your own time away from anybody here, it's good because you get to see what do I want to add. The self-time. You take your head and you talk to yourself, self-talk. That is a good time. Yeah. Thank you very much. And an honor for us to be here today.
Anybody else?
Oh, I would like to ask, how do you, in this schedule of Australia, how do you find time that, like, your schedule, like, not overworking, like, finding time for each other, like, this day we're going to be together, just the two of us, or as a family? How do you find?
Yeah, we realize that Australia, in this country, if we don't create time intentionally, we're gonna be slaves in this country. Because there is work in Australia, and there is family, which is the palace. So how can we enjoy this family? Is to create our own time. Like we decided every Wednesday, we used to work from Monday, Tuesday until Saturday. The only day we could meet, call a holiday or a free day is Sunday. But we said, no, that is enough. So we created, and now we canceled all our shifts every Wednesday for me and my husband, because the children have gone to school. So that day is the day we drop the children and decide to go somewhere, maybe to go to King's Park. It's not a must to go with a plane. You can just drive to King's Park and go around and relax and enjoy the sunshine and come back when you are and discuss some issues, not very intensive issues, but just some gentle, like how are you? How have you been? Like those kind of issues. So it is good to create time for your family. And again, it is good to plan yourself. Like we've decided that each and every day when we are home, we make sure by 5 we've eaten dinner so that our children can go sleep and we can relax, because the day has been so busy. The day has been so, instead of being busy during the day, again, when you are home, you are too busy. So we are trying to create life like the way people used to live in Kenya, whereby you go to work in the morning, come home, relax, so that you can your body to relax too and be ready for the next day. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I think it's very hard. I'll just add a little bit, and then looking for time. You don't need to have 12 hours for yourselves, not even 6 hours. Sometimes, with the all life that we have, you can create but a bit of quality time. You can have 2 hours, but you spend only purpose on yourselves, nothing else. No phone. You're having a discussion about yourselves, encouraging one another, and that's it. Because life is different. Yeah. So I believe myself, not too long, but if it's possible, like you will create a day like us. Sometimes you meet, but like for us, sometimes it's not every Wednesday that we meet, because other times commitment comes. I believe it's quality time. You spend time, a bit 1 hour or 2 hours just for that person and talk about it and say, by the way, it makes a bit of difference. When somebody shows that little care, it makes a difference.
Okay, Karen, the last question.
Yes, I just wanted to add on. So earlier on, I don't know what Nina was talking about, and she mentioned that the bedroom is not a place that you go in and see the issues. Even it contradicts what the circumstances. Like we had a conversation this morning with one of the families, and they were like, the bedroom is actually where you sort your issues. Like you plan your family. Because you don't wanna like iron things out sometimes. Like it's a busy. It could be like a busy house. Like you've got like families here, you've got do and do, and you don't wanna like sit and discuss things. And well, it's not like a Monday to Sunday thing, but sometimes you feel like, if we can finish up in there, come out, no one will know what's going on there. So if I put an issue, I'll be like, Vincent, put it down. We're gonna discuss. So we're gonna be like, yeah, we're okay. Like smile and laugh and let's talk about it. So I don't know, is it wrong? Like discuss things
I think from my own take from how it should be, it's like a dining table, right? When food is served, do you have a conversation about how many millions you saved for a day? It's just about each chakula ni tamu and focus. Bedroom is more or less the same, in my own opinion, and I might be coming from different point of view from anybody else. The reason I think Penina and Haz believe bedroom is just fun time. When and it's your own time, right? That is your own time, right? And because once we bring our conversation, I'll always have a tendency of human beings from psychologically proven. Kama nilikufinya kwa ukiketi hapa hivi, ukipita hapa kila siku nakumbuka hapa ndio nilitoa machozi yote. I cry too much here because that is where my whole pain comes in. And before you get, unakumbuka ile zingine. Do you remember that? Shaggy, that one. That I don't know. We got this one that you got to teach, and those are issues that would become an entrance in your romance, because you always have that perception. How would I start when somebody just pinpointed me the other day? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, And so what I was saying, and that's what I believe, trust me, if you're gonna take it somewhere else, there is this, I love country music as well. Kenny Rogers says, when you go to win the money, do not count it on the table because there'll be a time of counting somewhere, right? And if you bring it very closely, even in our relationship, when we have issues, I believe there is always a basic time where to solve conflicts. And believe me, if you want it, you can have it. It's somewhere away, and you don't, because sometimes, unajua nikikaa huko nje, I won't even bust. Tukizungumza nje, ndalia, nitoe machozi yote, tutembee na wewe, na konga yeye kidogo. At some point, what happens? You find, by the way, what an environment.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I believe in solving every conflict management is by personally interrogating yourselves. One thing is, once I know I've wronged, you look into yourself. So I wouldn't encourage for myself and my family. I don't think I will say bedroom will be the best option, because you would not have a very healthy relationship once you associate bedroom with conflict resolution table. But once you resolve as it's the bed where we go to enjoy and know each other more, because you never stop discovering one another. It keeps going. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So there's this book called Atomic Habits. If you've never read that book, go and read it. It brings out the same way you just put it. Like the environment will affect us. If there's something that really happened there, it will affect us. So it is really,
Good.
I've learned something. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you take a photo of us?
Oh.